using there again in order to, I think sometimes rather than going back in and just working on the mouth, I want to work my way down to it by observing again what's above, and now that the eye is dry, there's a chance to revisit with the little bit more shadow. I'm just using the corner of the brush, because it's a flat brush, you don't just, you have the chance to make more than flat marks. You can curve it with the corner of the brush.
Sorry, what colour are you using there for your eyes?
What did I do there now? I think I just put a bit more ultramarine blue into that colour. So it was
cadmium red
and ultramarine blue with a bit of yellow ochre, and then just a bit more blue. So it was the same three colours but just a bit more blue to deepen the tone, so that it was a touch darker than the original colour that I'd used there. Alright, and now I'm going to find the corners of the mouth. If you were to draw a straight line up from where the corner of the mouth is, to consider where it would cut through the eyebrow and the rest of the face. And of course it'll be wider definitely than the nose anyway. And wherever you're positioned, you can locate the corner of the mouth by drawing a line up from it and seeing where it would cut through the eyebrow, or whatever it is, how much of the face is on either side. So even if you've only got one corner of the mouth, I would encourage you to use verticals to see where, to make up a vertical line to see where it would cut through the eyebrow. And I'm just going to put in a little bit more cadmium red into that now. So again, it's the same three colours, cadmium red and ultramarine blue and a little bit of yellow. But I'm just putting a little bit of the, it was the yellow ochre. And now I'm putting a bit more cadmium red into it, so that I know that this isn't just skin around the lips, but it's actually the shadow in the lips. And it might deepen a lot more than what I've got it now, but again, this is placing it so that I can clearly see the lips if I was to stand back, but it's placing it so that also it's possible to lift them if I need to. And sometimes, like, there's other days now when I might feel like I'm getting a bit stuck in this and everything, but at the moment I feel a sense of softness and kind of a gradual placing things. So I haven't felt it necessary to stand back and do a big splash along the body or something. But if you find yourself becoming a little bit safe, or the shoulders are coming up and you're kind of shit, you can just draw back and do a general move, maybe with your big brush, turn the painting upside down, or there's ways of kind of distilling or detonating that feeling. And there's a little bit more ultramarine blue flowed in there, and it's kind of good because I want the line dividing the lips to have a little bit more strength of tone. So I'm going to just plant where the water already is. You see, it's letting the paint sit there. So because the paper below it is dry, the line dividing the lips is where the watery paint is accumulating. Now I know I said not to put too many colours in together, but I've put a sap green into that now as well, because below the lower lip there's a shadow, and this shadow is quite a characteristic shadow. Every shadow in a person's face will reveal the landscape of their particular face in this particular light, and that's why really it's helpful to look at to actually really consider the width and the shape of each shadow that you're painting, because that's what will make it them, hopefully, maybe, I'm not saying. Anyway, that's how I think, to keep the faith in the looking and do your best to place down what it is that you're seeing. And like Sickert said, if you put free loose coat over free loose coat, he was talking about oil paint, eventually the deaf canvas listens and the painting paints itself. But it's something about free loose coat, and I think the observation, being attentive, is important too, but that keeping the faith, and eventually the feeling of flow and being engaged. Are we way beyond time, Caitlin, or are we okay?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Oh, very good. Okay, so I'll just open up that shadow as we move over to the left. It seems to me to get a little bit less intense, and is a good colour, I think, to describe something of the shadow that's on the jaw, because really the shadow, I think that's too why I wasn't too worried about the neck being placed early on, is because the jawline is darker than the neck. And if I did want to move it down, just put a bit of ultramarine blue there. If I did want to move it down, I could simply do that, and it would drop in a little bit more into that without it being a big deal. There's nothing to lift off or anything. And just on the subject of lifting off, Carmel and a couple of others had mentioned how it might be good to see a little bit more about lifting off. So after this, if you want to hang about a minute, I can do something about that on paintings that are dry from the last few days. Just so this dark, I thought would also maybe be helpful up in the eyebrows again. Touch more, just with the ultramarine blue coming in, it sharpens it up, doesn't it? It gives it a bit more depth of tone. And seeing as that was, thanks very much, Evan. Seeing as that's being introduced down here, I thought I may as well, bring it up into the eyes as well. So that was really good. Well done. Are you proud of your girl?